Hey, good afternoon again, Bob from Bob's Barn Workshop. Hey, yesterday we put down this garage floor containment map. The wife's been in and out with the car. It's been snowing, and guess what? The floor is dry, and the mat has puddles of water. And the floor is bone dry. We got some snow last night. But what this video is about is we talked yesterday about the inversion of the lock actuators that I put in being actually opposite of what they should be. When I push open they close, and when I push close they open, just for the front. So the problem is just with the new ones that I put in yesterday, of course, and I got the door all back together. But I'm going to have to take that back apart. I'm hoping maybe I can just pop the bottom out and reach in and pop the connector off and have enough slack just to switch the pins. But we'll see if we can do that. Let me get set up here, and we'll see if we can do that. I'll put you on the tripod. Okay, so the only tools I brought with me right now are a really long screwdriver and my fancy pry tool for the pins. And from sleeving this apart, they're just like they're almost like those plastic wall anchors. There's a pin that drives into the middle, and there's a plastic insert in the door, and you gotta get under there with this little forky thing and pry, and they come out. And you pretty much just gotta have the screwdriver in there so you can give yourself some clearance to see what you're doing. I see that bottom one. Sometimes when you start prying, they just pop anyway. And of course that one's come apart. So I'm probably going to have to end up taking this all the way out because it fell out of its holder. Let's see the next one. I got that. Don't buy this pry tool at the auto store. I did, and it was $10. But I saw exactly the same tool at Walmart for $5. So there's the actuator. You can just see the tip of it there, the white thing. I taped this to hold that in place while I got the door on. I'm not sure if I can snake my hand up under there. I gotta remove my gloves. I'd be happy to just be able to do this. Oh, hell yeah. And there's a little tab here. You have to look at that. All right. Now I got to figure out what I need to slide down in there to release those tabs. I'm sure there's just a little sticky outy thing, a little flap that needs to be pushed back in, or a little tab. And I'm going to look down from the top, and I'm going to say that the brown is on the right. Oh yeah, I see it. They're up there in the front. I think a long skinny screwdriver. You're going to look like your dentist here. But with these magnifiers, I should be able to see the mechanism by which these are held in place. And it actually looks like the bottom. I need something thinner. I brought my jeweler's screwdriver set with me. And I'm going to use it right there. It just looks like the bottom tab is to pull up like that to get out. I have to. These are miserable. They've popped in on both sides. They pop in on the top, and they pop in on the bottom. you know what? I guess I'm just going to cut these and can't get the pins out. So, hack job is to cut them and reverse them. Not the way you should do it. That's what I'm going to do. I found an easier way to get more slack. I popped the reflector that fits in there out, and I got a little more slack here. I was going to cut these offset, but I can't because I have to reverse them. And so I'm just going to do an awful hack. Please, folks, don't do this at home. And that's some nice heavy wire. I think it's almost 14 gauge. And strip both of these. Now remind me to do them opposite, you know. Don't let me tape them up the same way. High quality strippers that won't nick your wires, but it'll take the insulation off. Now I got my good old fashioned, good old straight soldering iron here. I got my electrical tape in my pocket trying to soften it up because it's cold out here. First I'm just going to call what's tinning these, which means I want to heat these up. Let the solder soak into each one of these wires. And you'll see all the strands of the wire get loaded up with solder. That's what you want. Don't want it laying on the surface. You want to see it wick right inside the wire. And use the high quality modern I think my solder is 4060, 6040 flux core. Make sure they're filled up nice and fat. I'm going to do the same thing to the connector leads here. Let me set this down, it might be easier. Oh, sorry if you're looking at my back. I'm just touching the soldering iron to the side of the wire and trying to feed the solder in from the opposite side because the heat draws the solder in. And you just don't want to blob it on with the end of the soldering iron. Soldering is an art, that's for sure. It's sort of like welding. You know, there's like me welding. I can burn stuff together with a welder, but that don't mean I'm a welder. Okay, so now I'm going to try. Now you can see these polarities are reversed. I'm going to try to hold this steady enough to remelt both of the solders on these wires and get them to flow together. Now I guess I do need to get a big ball of solder on this. What that does is that increases the contact area and lets the heat flow. Now I've got really good flow between these two. I can see it now. And you hold it nice and still until you see it solidify. If you jiggle it around a lot while it's still molten, it will make what they call a cold solder joint, and your joint won't be very good. Could be easily broken because the crystallization of the solder. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I don't know if you can see that. Unfortunately, I'm soldering them together, making sure each wire gets fully molten again. Alright, I'm going to leave that iron plugged in because it takes a long time to heat up. Now, I'm going to tape the crap out of this. I couldn't find any heat shrink. Of course, I got heat shrink everywhere. I couldn't find any. And I just want to get this done and working. I should have heat shrinked it. Heat shrink is very, 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 very tough. But I'm going to put several layers of electrical tape on these. And it's only 12 volts. I'm worried more about abrasion than I am. Okay, I'm just kind of tapering this back and forth over the joint. I know it looks globby, but it's kind of cold. I can't really stretch the tape very well. There's one. About 6 inches of tape. I put the first wrap really tight over the joint, and then I just kind of let it wander up and down across the joint a little bit. Press it down tight, press out the air bubbles if you can. Alright. I think I'm going to put one more wind around both of them, just to kind of solidify the joint together. The good thing about this is the water can get to it, but it shouldn't corrode that aluminum connect or that solder connection for many years. All right, so there, that comes back down. It has to come under that push pin. I gotta pull the rubber up. There's a rubber boot on this thingy. I believe the latch goes down. Alright, she went right on. Shall we give it the acid test? Hey, look at that. Up is up and down is down. Alright, well, I guess you guys don't need to see me do side number 2. But I will catch you up on the video when I get close again. Let me see, I had an extra pin that fell out yesterday. I'm going to put that back in too. One broke off, but I got the extra one here. And I've lost one here at the top. We'll try to... As you can see, can you see that little white pin? And there's a little white socket right in there. Alright, so there's one missing here. They drop in and they're supposed to kind of snap in. Okay, that one started. I'm working on the ice today, it's a ball. That one started. That one started. Got one that goes right here. Right here by the edge of the door. Oh, it's chipped out, that's why it's falling out. This guy. Come on, get up into your hole. There you go. That's it. Easy peasy, huh? So we'll do the same thing on the other side. I'll snap my door reflector back in here. Pretty simple to do. Not much to that. Guess that keeps you from getting whacked if you're climbing out. Man, that doesn't really do too much in there, does it? There we go. Alright, we'll do the other side. Back the door too. I know I'm not going to show you the whole thing again. We'll just see if I can get this door open again as I showed you before. Get you down here. Beautiful sunset today. Almost sunset. Alright, course, I'll be right in your way. The best, easiest way is to start here on this corner and work my way around. I know there's one right here somewhere. Yeah, I see him. There he comes. They've all pretty much popped already. There's one right there. They're in there quite a ways. Actually, this tool isn't necessarily the best thing to do it. But you can do it. And sometimes you just got to yank them open. Now, I'm going to try to get my arm up in there. Get that connector off, as I did on the other side. Which is down here near the bottom. That makes it a little easier. This guy's a little loose. The latch comes right off easy. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to knock that reflector out. There's a little catch in here. I just broke it, I think. So I guess I'll have to glue it. It's cold. Plastic and cold don't go together too well sometimes. Alright, we know the process. I'll get her done in a hurry here, get the job done and go get warm. 14 gauge. 14 gauge. Make sure you use the right stripper, as I said before, so you don't strip any of those strands off. Although this isn't a high power application like a house wiring circuit or anything. So let's see if I can show you how to tin those wires up. My soldering tip is a little bit shot. I don't know. Oh yeah, he's still hot though. See the way the solder is going right into the wire? You want to fill that all up good with solder so it's almost got a drip on it. Touch a little to that. See, I'm touching the back of the wire. That'll suck it right in. Alright. Got to do the same to the other ones. Can I do it between my knees? Sure I can. My iron is nice and hot now. This is an uncontrolled iron. It's just plugged into 110 volts right now, or 120, whatever. And what you done with? You kind of know. I got good drips of solder on each one of these, which is a good thing. And so now I'm just going to hold them close together, touch them together, lay the soldering iron across both. Kind of massage that solder in there good. And you'll see the solder get soft all the way around everything, and then you just pull it away and wait. And then she's set. You can twist these together, but a good bonded solder joint like this for what this application is more than sufficient. I'm going to twist this guy right around. Touch both of the soldering. You can see they don't want to come together. Now they're coming together. That means the solder is fully molten. Oops. Don't let it move. Boom, you're done. Okay. Well, this was so fast, I guess I'm going to leave it in the video. And we'll tape these up. Alright, well that's all taped up and spliced. I need to get him back under there. I'm going to have to step in front of the camera And I know the latch goes down. I have to pull the rubber up off the connector a little bit here. Find the connector. Being a little finicky. You gotta get those pins lined up just right, I guess. I think it's on there. Let's see. Bingo! Check it out. Locked. Unlocked. Unlocked there. Let's check the rear door. That was always the complaint. They were out of sync. Okay, back door is locked. Let's see. This says locked, the far door locked. Locked. Locked, locked. Okay guys, we're done. That's all the rest of this little thing. I gotta snap that door back together. We'll button up another Bob's
Okay,
Workshop
now it's time
here.
to button this door up.
Yeah, I did break a red ear off in my reflector. I think we'll just work from the top down. That one goes in. That one goes in. Let's try the other side here. That one's in. In the hole. It's in the hole. Boom. Easy peasy when you get them lined up. Alright. I might have to glue this guy. Because, unfortunately, the ear broke off. I did it wrong on the other side. It's not like a drop dead scenario anyway, but. Alright, guys. One more check on the van running since I changed the fuel filter. Bingo. Alright guys. So here we are, the Astro van. We got a sun setting in the west here, western New York. Another episode in the cold here at Bob's Barn Workshop. Got the locks fixed on the van, and I want you guys to have a Merry Christmas. Stay safe. God bless.